Okay, let's go.
Okay, so if you are logged in to your account, what you're going to do is you're going to go to the waffle, the square made of squares, and you're going to scroll down and you're going to go to Classroom. When Classroom opens, you are going to see any class that you have created or that you are a co-teacher of. To create a new class, all you need to do is go up to the plus sign. It says create or join a class. I am going to create a class. If you've never done this before, you're going to have to identify yourself as a teacher. When you go to create class, you're going to give the class a name. And you can fill in any information that you want to be more specific, a subject, section, room, and then you're going to click on create. And it takes a second or two to create. Okay, so here's my class. It put a theme in there. You can select another theme if you wish. Now, the first thing that you should do when you create a class is go to this gear. When you click on the gear, it's going to give you your class details. But then if you scroll down to general, you're going to see your class code, and giving this class code to the students is one way they can join your class. And we'll talk about another way in just a moment. And then here's the stream. The stream is basically the social media of your class. This is where everyone can see everything that's going on in your class. This is where you're going to post messages. You need to decide, can students post and comment to your screen, which may be dangerous? Can students only comment, or only teachers can post or comment? And this is what we're recommending. Beneath that, we have the grading screen, which we're not going to get into now. After you make a change here, you're going to click on Save. Right over here where it says share something with your class, and if you notice up at the top, there's a black underline under stream. This is where you're going to communicate with your class. When you have your message there, you're going to click on Post, and it's going to show up right over here in the top of your screen. And remember, you're never going to make any sort of private comments in the stream because everybody in your class can see them. Classwork is where you are going to create your assignments, and you are going to add your questions, create your topics, and we'll talk about more about topics in a moment. People is where you are going to share with your students and share with teachers. If I wanted to make a co-teacher for my class, I could click right over here on this little person, put the teacher's email in, and I can invite them to be a co-teacher in my class. Co-teachers have the ability to do everything that you do in Google Classroom with the exception of deleting the class. Besides giving the code to the student, another way that you could add students would be to go over here and click on this little person, and then you would put in the student's email address. You can get your class's email addresses from Hapara if you go to the Classwork section. Then you could copy all of the email addresses. They already have the commas in there. You could paste them all and then invite them. So that's another way that you can get your students into the class. If you use this method, when your students go into the classroom, they're going to see your class, they're going to have to click on join, and then they'll already be entered. If you use the code method, the students are going to go to the plus sign, identify themselves as students, and put in the code and join that way. So there are two different ways to join. So I'm going to go back to the Classwork code. Excuse me, Classwork tab. And this is where you would create your topics and your assignments. Now, topics are a great thing to use. You can organize things under topics. We're going to suggest that everybody creates a topic that's called daily forms and add. This is where you can put your morning and your afternoon forms. Now, once you have created this topic, and the reason we suggest using a topic and not the stream is that the streams, every time you add something new to your stream, the earlier streams get pushed down. So the parents are going to have to go looking for the forms. If you put it under a topic, you can move the topic if there's more than one. It's grayed out over here because I only have one thing, but you can move it up to the top so it's easy for parents to find. So I've created my topic, daily forms. What I would do next is click on create and decide what I want to create. I'm going to put this as an assignment here. I can title it. I can go over here and I could click on add. If you click on link, you can actually paste the link for your forms right here. And I'm just going to grab a random page and paste it in. I'm going to click on add link, and then the link is right there. So you could do that for both of your forms. Click on assign, and then you're going to see the assignment right there, and you'll have your forms there. Now you can add this assignment, and I should have showed you that earlier. Let me just go back to this. I want to edit this. I should have put it right under my topic. So that's step that I forgot. You need to go right in and add those forms links to your topic and then click on save. So now I can see that right here. There's my link, here's my topic, here's my link. Okay, Amy, if you want to jump in and show them the student side.
Sure, no problem. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip over and share my screen. And okay, and again, if you're not seeing my screen, you need to click on the side and look at all of the little thumbnails and find the one that says Amy Mealy screen. If anyone's having trouble with that, you can just chat us. Dawn, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so I have joined the class that Dawn created. I used the code, and so I'm in it. So as a student, here's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the stream, and like Dawn said, this is kind of the social media aspect. You'll see that the newest posts come on top. To be honest, a lot of teachers find that the stream is not super helpful. They like to work off the Classwork page. Dawn, is that how you feel or no?
I think it's easier. I think streams are good for announcements, general announcements.
So the thing that I learned recently that I didn't know was that if you put a general announcement in the stream, like Dawn put here, hello, how are you today? Because that's not attached to any kind of classwork, it's just a message. When I go to the Classwork page, I'm not going to see that. So the teachers that I always worked with, I always encouraged them, tell your kids just to focus on classwork. But just so you know, if I only focused on classwork, I would not see the stream. So if you're going to post messages for your kids, you can do that. They may not see them if they're working in the classwork area, but it's just something to keep in mind. So now as a student, I'm in the classwork. So I see she's got this topic and then this assignment here. And then I can click on it and then I could take the link. And if this was the actual form, I would fill that out. So that's one thing that we're encouraging people to do is just the classwork. Dawn, do you want me to go into the different types of things that people can post or?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump to a class that I have created, which goes a little bit further. Now, keep in mind for Classroom, we're doing what we feel comfortable with and we're setting it up the way that we feel most comfortable as educators. So what you see on my screen may not work for you and that's okay. We can work with you privately on some of these things. So as you're posting things, Dawn already talked about the daily check-in form, and that would just be the link that they go to every day. You could also post things by subject area or unit. So a couple of things to know about Classwork is that as you post things under each topic, they will add lower and lower and lower. So the newest things will be on the bottom. So if you have a huge long list of things, you will see them added towards the bottom. So that's why we might be suggesting instead of just doing reading, you really might want to break it into units. That way you can only have maybe 10 things under there and then it's time for a new unit. As you're posting materials, you can post assignments. So here's an example of an assignment that I posted, and I'm just going to go through how to post an assignment. So you would go to create and an assignment. Now, assignment is good for when you're giving them something they need to do. They might have to do it in a Google Doc. They might have to go to a website. If they're doing it in a Google Doc, it's a way for you to check that Google Doc very easily. So you would just go to assignment. You would create your assignment. Just as a tip for my own sanity, I'm putting dates in with mine. I'm giving instructions today, do this. You can number things. Where it says add, just like Dawn talked about before, you can add all different things. So if you already have a file created in Google Drive, you can add that for them. I'm just going to choose something here, just arbitrary to show you. Let me pick, I don't know, this one. When you add something for them to do, and if those of you who are familiar with Hapara, this was actually a bad choice because I'm getting this here. I don't actually own this, but we're all going to pretend like I do. In Hapara, you had to denote whether or not the kid would get their own copy, like a virtual worksheet, or they would all be touching the same piece of paper. And the default in Hapara was always everyone gets their own worksheet. Well, in Classroom, it's different, so you need to be cognizant of this. If you're going to give them something to do, like on a Google Doc, and you already have the Google Doc filled with questions and you just want them to go in and answer them, it's very important to make sure that once you upload that Google Doc of yours, you need to come over here on the right side. And I don't know why they made it the last choice because it should be the first, but you need to make a copy for each student. This gives everyone their own digital worksheet that they're going to be touching on their own. Once you choose that, over here, this is where if you wanted to, you could assign certain students, but we're not going to get into that. Most of us are doing ungraded, so we're not going to worry about that. The topic is where you could choose if you had a topic already and you wanted it nested underneath it, you can do it there. And then I can choose assign. There's also options to schedule it so you could have it assigned another day, because as soon as you assign it, it's going to pop up for the kids if I click assign. Or you could also save it as a draft and come back and work on it later. Dawn, do you want to jump in at all while I'm doing this?
Not right here. The only thing, well, finish this first, and then I'll mention one more thing I didn't want to forget.
So, of course, I picked the wrong thing because I don't actually own this. So why don't you jump in and say what you wanted to say?
Okay, so let's, I'm going to switch you back to me.
Yep.
So let me just go over here, and I want to share my screen.
I'm going to take a look at the comments in the chat room now and start answering those for people.
So I hope everybody can see my screen now. And one thing I wanted to talk about was notifications, which will drive you crazy if you don't set it up the way you like it. If you go to these 3 lines, I'm going to go back to my main screen and click on classes. These are all my classes. At the bottom here, there are settings, overall settings, and email notifications. Email notifications can be very numerous if you do not handle them correctly. I have all email notifications shut off. Now, you may want notifications for some things. If you want to pick and choose what you want to be notified for, you can click over here on this toggle, and then underneath, do you want to be notified for comments that mention you, private comments on work, in the classes you're enrolled in the classes you teach. You have to think very carefully about what you want to be notified about, or you will be getting mass emails. Now, down here at the bottom, turn email and mobile notifications on or off for a certain class. So you can also decide by class what you want to do. So it's just something to think about, because if you're a co-teacher on a lot of classes and somebody makes one change to something, you're going to get notified about it. So really think about how you want to be notified and if you want to use those notifications. Now, I'm just going to turn mine off just to be safe, but that was something I wanted to make sure that we mentioned because it could be overwhelming.
Okay, so I'm going to quickly just pick back up just so that you can see the teacher end. And we did talk about how some people are using Google Classroom as literally just a landing page. If you have something else going for yourself, whether it's a document, a Google Slides, a Seesaw, whatever, that's fine. You can continue to use that. We are just using Google Classroom as a landing page for the parents so that they are not inundated with emails anymore. So if you're doing that, that's fine. You can just post links there. I'm just going to show you a quick sample of that. This is happens to be a second grade class, and this is how they're doing it. This is just basically the whole day's links are right on one document. So they're not actually having kids turn in work on Google Classroom, and that's an option for you. If you have something like this going already, we can help you link it to it. If you would like to be using Google Classroom to actually turn in documents, just so that you're able to see once kids start doing your work, so on this assignment, once kids start doing the work, I can see that one kid it was assigned to, because I have only one kid in my class right now, a test student. And when I click there, I can now look at the student's work. So imagine I had 20 kids in this class, and when they start the assignment, I'm going to have 20 of these little squares here, and I can look at their work by clicking on it. It will bring me right into the student's document, and then I can review it. I can make private comments on the document if I want to, and then I can go back and look at the next child's work. Now, if I had more than one student in my class, these little arrows up here would allow me to flip through, just like you had a pack of papers in front of you, flip through each assignment, look at it, make comments, private comments on the Google Doc, and then there is a return feature that we don't need to get into at this point. But just so that you know, if you decide to use Google Classroom as a way to actually give assignments, it does allow you to check them easily. Dawn, anything else you want to add? And then maybe we can give them some time to practice.
Sure. The other thing that you want to make sure is that the child is logging in with their @hgps.us account. The parents are not logging into Google Classroom. The child is logging into Google Classroom with their district account. We want to make sure that nobody was confused about that.
And the other thing that we have heard that may or may not work for your colleagues, but we're just floating it, especially maybe at the kindergarten level, you are allowed to make one Google Classroom with a colleague or your grade level and share it. Basically, both be co-teachers on it. Divvy up the work as you see fit. That may or may not be a good workflow for you, but some people have expressed interest in that. So we're just relaying the message that that is an option, but doesn't need to be. So at this point, if there's anybody who wants to ask any questions, feel free to type them in the chat, or if there's anything else you want to go over, we would encourage you at this point to just explore. We're going to stay on for a little bit, so if anything comes up and you want to know about it, let us know. The first thing I would definitely do, like Dawn said, is when you go to Google Classroom, you can go to classroom.google.com or use that little waffle in the corner. Make sure that you do have permission. There are people that need to get admin approval, and we need to know about those requests immediately so we can get those taken care of for you. So if you get blocked and you can't create a class, please let us know immediately. Do we address the, there's not going to be any linking to specials in the main?
Yes, I think that should definitely be addressed. There was some miscommunications this morning at some of the full staff meetings, and it was bandied about that teachers were going to link to different Google Classrooms. That's completely unnecessary, because when the child opens the window, you probably saw my first window, I had a number of different classes there. The child is going to see every class that they're a part of. So they'll see their homeroom class, they'll see their music class, their art class, and any other teacher who's invited them to a class. So there's no need to link from the inside of one class to another Google class, because they're all right on the same page for the child. So there's no linking whatsoever.
Good.
So we just wanted to make that clear to everybody, that the things that we're really stressing right now is that everybody is going to make a Google class. The classes will all have the forms there to cut down on the parent email. So that's everybody's starting point. Anything after that, we will help you with step by step if you need.
So Bethany and Jill both asked similar questions, and they both teach kindergarten. So it's two parts. One is that for kindergarten and first grade, the usernames and passwords were uploaded to Genesis. So for kindergarten and first grade, if you have a parent asking you, how do I get my kid on? They need to go onto the parent portal. For you to get their email addresses so that you could add them to your Google Classroom, you can get their email addresses through Hapara, and that would be in the class info tab. And if you need help with one of those things, you can reach out to a computer support teacher on that. So kindergarten does have logins, Renee. They just probably don't know them because they don't ever use them because we're used to the Clever badges, and that's different. So that's why we decided for kindergarten and first grade, that information got uploaded to Parent Portal. If the parents can't get into Parent Portal, then I think there's an email address that they click and send an email to you right on that main Parent Portal page. For second, third, and fourth grade, we all sent home password sheets with those kids, so they should have them. If for some reason they're having trouble getting in, and the parent reaches out to you as the teacher, then you should reach out to your computer support teacher team. We will see if we have that information on file. If we don't, we will reset it for them. This has been the quietest half hour of my day. I told my husband if he doesn't take my children and bury them somewhere, that I will no longer make dinner for anyone. Yes, Renee, you're right. So if you start typing in the kids' names, we forgot about that. It does start auto-populating with that information. Jill, I'm wondering why you would need their passwords. I'm thinking that you shouldn't have to manage that aspect. If they can't get to the parent portal and figure out their password, then they need to do the parent support through the parent portal and ultimately get on the parent portal. That shouldn't be something you should have to worry about. Oh, do you want to talk about inviting guardians, Dawn? Paula's asking about that.
Yeah, you can certainly invite the parents. The parents are going to get updates as to what's going on in your class when a new assignment is posted, when something is due. The parents cannot get on and actually do anything. The parents cannot post the students' work. The parents cannot do anything but get the notifications of what's going on. So if you choose to invite the parents, that's fine. The parents will get email updates as to what's going on in your class, but they're not actually going in and doing anything themselves.
And just so everyone knows, you have to manually input each child's guardian. So you can't mass upload like these are all the parents that are allowed because it gets tied to the kid. The parent can go in and, like Dawn said, see the summary and all those things of what the child is doing. So if you choose to invite guardians, just know that it is a bit of work to input each guardian for each child. Lauren, you were asking about working with mainstream teachers. That's a great question. So I'm thinking if your kids go out for, say, science and social studies, you would want to be privy to what's going on in those classrooms. You would want to be a co-teacher so that you can see the assignments going on in there. I'm not sure that your mainstream teachers at this point would benefit from being part of your classroom. Certainly they can, just if someone does not have the email notifications turned off, like Dawn told us all about, then you will get a lot of emails from all the other classrooms that you're a part of, and it does start to get a little annoying. So Melissa, you can create individual assignments for students. Let me just share my screen real quick and kind of show you. So when I was at the create assignments screen, there was an option for me to share it to everyone or just certain individuals. So I'm going to go back here just to my main page of this test classroom I have, and let's just go to Classwork. I'm just going to create something new. So I'm going to create an assignment. I'm going to give it a title, 327 reading work. You can give it directions. And then over here on the right-hand side where it says 4, not that this applies to K-4. Well, it depends. If you're a special area teacher and you're making a different classroom for every single class you see, which I wouldn't recommend, I would do it by grade level. Would you say, Dawn? Or
I would say grade level or even day of the cycle if it's
right.
for a special teacher.
So just so that you are all aware, if you have multiple classrooms that you own, which these are all the ones that I'm the teacher of, I can post an assignment to all these classrooms at like one shot right here. They all get posted at the same time, so keep that in mind. I can't like scheduled send this first one tomorrow, but then post this one now. That you can't do. It's either they all get posted now or they're all scheduled send for another time. But you can, Melissa, to answer your question, choose the students. So right now I only have one student in my class, but if I wanted just one kid to get it, I could, you know, it's highlighting all students because I only have one. But imagine I had more than one. I could pick just the kids I want to get that, and then they could do it.
Faith, you asked about separate subject areas. Use topics. That thing that I did at the very beginning, I created a topic, and you could put any of your lessons under that topic. Do you want me to show you again? Why not? Okay,
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Let me just get down here. I'm going to share my screen out now.
Sure. And then Kathy, Dawn, just so you know, Kathy's also asking, can you show me how you schedule assignments to be posted? So maybe you can show that.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to my class. I'm going to go to Classwork. Now, let's go to the first thing about separating for subject areas. So I'd click on Create, and I'm creating a topic. And I'm going to call this Math. And I'm going to click on Add. Then I'm going to create an assignment. And the assignment is going to be Add. And then I can go over here, and I can put that under my math topic. So the assignment goes right under the topic that I choose. I'm going to tell them what I want. I can add whatever I want, as we talked about before, a Google Doc, a link, a file, a YouTube video, and I'm going to click on Create. I'm sorry, I'm going to click on Assign, I'm sorry, up here. And then if I look under Math, I'm going to see at the bottom here what I just did. Now I'm going to go back into that assignment, and I'm going to edit it. And over here where it says no due date, I don't have a date. I should be able to choose a date for this assignment. So I want to do this on the 30th. You could also put a time in, but that may be a little bit too picky. So my due date for this was the 30th. You know, is that what you meant?
I think because, oh, sorry. I think because you already sent it, we can't change it now. I think she was looking at that scheduled send.
Oh,
so that's
I'm sorry.
something.
I thought you meant, okay. So let me go back and let's do another one.
But that's interesting to note and to remember is that as soon as you post something, it does get posted. And so if you post it and then you're like, oh, geez, I didn't want it to be posted today. I want it to be posted tomorrow. There's no like 5-second grace period. It's already up there. So if you really wanted it to be posted tomorrow, you would have to delete it and re-add it, correct, Dawn? Or just let it be.
So let's try it again. Let's go to create an assignment. And let's see. That's for all students. These are the classes. Now I'm just seeing no due date. I'm not seeing schedule.
So it would be up at the top where it said assign. Use that blue drop down up there and see what that says.
There we go.
So I guess because you already, yeah.
This is a new one. So let's see if it'll give me a, yeah. Okay. So schedule. Yeah. So I can schedule when I want it and the time.
What is the day we're starting on this? May 13th?
May 13th, I believe.
Okay.
April 13th. April 13th.
Oh gosh, May 13th. Well. So Christina, you're saying some parents were having trouble logging into Google Classroom. Should we still send daily check-in forms by email? No. So here's the thing. We need to get the parents to log into Google Classroom as the kid. So that's what we need to guide them through first. We should not be sending daily check-in forms by email because the parents are the ones who came to us and said, it's too many emails, we can't manage it, which we understand. So they should be going into Google Classroom. If they're having trouble, then forward the parents' email to your computer support team teachers and we will take care of it. Marina, good question. Dawn has a lovely cheat sheet that she put together that she worked really hard on, and we'll send it out.
Yeah, and we also have some links on that sheet that are introductions to Google Classroom for parents. and just some things that we got online that we found on some websites that would be helpful, like tips and tricks.
Did we, oh, go ahead, sorry. We didn't talk about this in this one because I talked about this earlier. Google Classroom has an app the parents can have on their phone or their tablet. I have the Google Classroom app on my phone. I'm able to access things as a teacher with my Amelia account. And then my daughter is also part of Google Classroom as a student. I can switch over to her. So in case parents are asking you, they can have multiple children on the Google Classroom app. The nice thing about having the Google Classroom app for our little guys, a lot of our younger guys are going to be doing something on a piece of paper, and then the teacher's going to want a photo taken of it and it to be uploaded. So I'm going to just hold up my phone real quick. And I know this is not going to be like the best use, but just so you can see, on the phone, there is a way when you're in the assignment, there it says add attachment. And when I click that, it offers, do I want to add something from Drive? Do I want to use my camera? So I can choose use my camera. I can snap a picture of my kid's work, and then I can upload it to the assignment. So I would encourage your parents, especially the young ones, if you're having them do things on paper, tell them to put the app on the phone, and they can have the kid's account linked to it. The kid can go in as the kid, and then it's just very easy to upload the pictures.